Welcome to the Fusion Artists Studio once again. My name is Ed Breen, and on behalf of the Fusion Arts Council, we spend time each week with an artist in Marion and Grant County talking not only about what they do as artists, but what they see other artists doing and what they believe to be the strengths and maybe the needs of the community. Today, our guest is Bill Reece. Full disclosure here, I have known Bill since the rocks were small pebbles.
Wow.
Give us the short version, Bill, of who you are and how you got here.
I grew up in Marion, graduated from Marion High School, and went to Purdue, and then ended up living in Boston for 25 years, in Miami for 6 years, came back a few years ago to get involved in some businesses I had that were launching here, and have somehow gotten involved in the arts community pretty actively.
Tell me where we are right now.
So we're at Cinder Cafe, which is at 100 South Washington Street, and this is going to be opening in a few weeks. It's a coffee shop with all the typical coffee shop drinks, of course. It's also a vegan cafe, so we're going to have a full menu of vegan food from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I would say, as importantly as that, is it's also an art environment where we're going to be displaying fine art. Our first artist, is a woman named Sid Brack, who is a great ceramics artist. She's going to be displaying her work in here. And every month we're going to feature an artist or two that are not just local, but really from around the country, just to bring art into this coffee shop and kind of innovative environment.
And that kind of brings us to the point of why we have you involved in this discussion today. I was trying to work through in my own mind how to describe what you're doing, and I think it's fair to say that you are more an enabler of the arts than a practitioner.
That's quite possibly the biggest understatement I've ever heard today. I'm not remotely an artist, but I grew up, my mother is a musician, my sister is a musician, so I grew up in the arts. As a child, my grandmother always had season tickets to the Marion Philharmonic, and just across the board. I mean, certainly in the performing arts, my family's always been active, but when I moved to Boston, really started to acquire a taste for the fine arts. So many great museums there, and was very involved in the arts in Boston. And then when I moved to Miami, I really fell in love with street art. I absolutely love it. So people think of street art as graffiti, which that is certainly an element of it, but it's also so much more than that. I mean,
It's urban murals.
Absolutely.
It's graffiti.
Yeah, and it's a culture. You know, it's more than just the art going up, but it's the clothes that people wear. I mean, there's a big market in streetwear. There's skateboarding. There's so many aspects to street art that I absolutely love, and that's one.
Chalk art on sidewalks fit into that, or is that something altogether different? Because there's some really beautiful.
If it's on the
work
street, it's street art.
Okay.
If it's on the sidewalk, it's not necessarily
sidewalk art.
art. Yeah. So, but yeah, we're really launching what I think is going to be a really exciting project here in December called the Marion Makeover Street Jam. And we're bringing artists in from around the country, some absolutely phenomenal artists that are going to be painting murals on some of the marquee walls here in Marion. It's going to bring a lot of color. We're going to be painting almost half an acre of building walls here, which is a pretty impressive number. I mean, it's about 20,000 square feet of paintings that will be done over a weekend.
And give us the broad brush view of where those will be.
We're looking at the north wall of Family Services Society.
Which is right across the street.
Directly across the street from us here. The courtyard wall, where MAC 123 will be opening this fall.
On the north side of the courthouse square.
Yes. We're going to be painting an alley on the south side of the square. The back of Creech's Country Cafe, which is also catty corner from us here. The back of the Community School of the Arts building, another phenomenal arts organization here in Marion. And several others around the city. The Bar Brothers Warehouse on Lincoln Boulevard is 150 feet by 12 feet, and that's all going to be painted. So what we're really trying to do is not only bring a different type of art into Marion, but add a lot of color and excitement around it. So that weekend, we're going to have live music on the stage at the courtyard at MAC 123. We're bringing in, there are about 26 artists that are going to be coming into town to do those murals and some other projects. So it's going to be a big event when we put this on in November.
Talk about the process of determining what gets painted on the buildings. That is not decided by the owner of the building.
No, that would be a
It is not
commission.
decided by you.
Right.
It's
So
decided by the artist.
It is, and that really gets to the heart of the selection process. So we have requested submissions, and we have well over 100 artist submissions from around the country. Myself and Riley Greger, who is a fantastic artist and has painted some murals on a building I own down on Branson Street. He is doing the primary vetting of those artists, and he'll be doing some painting here as well that weekend too.
And
But
he is from,
he's from Louisville,
Louisville.
Kentucky. Yeah, and he has work in Asheville, North Carolina, Atlanta, literally all over the country, and his popularity is really exploding right now as a very reputable street artist. So he and I are coordinating this, and he will be doing the main selection of the artist. So we look at the wall, we look at the artist's capability for a big wall. Some are really good, but they're doing smaller projects, so we need to make sure if we're giving someone 1,800 square feet to paint, that they know how to manage that project. That's a whole different animal than painting something that's 20 feet by 20 feet. It's just
and within that world of those artists, they know each other's capabilities.
Yeah, but we look at their art. So Instagram is one source. They have to submit their art to us. We check either commissions they've done or other street jams they've been involved with. So through that selection process, we know we're not getting someone that is going to do a hack job on it. And then beyond that, there are some requirements that we have. We're trying to stay away from any political discourse, but social issues are relevant today. Those are fair game. If there's profanity or anything like that indecent, we reserve the right to buff over it, to basically paint over the mural and either change a part of it or to change it completely. So we're not going to, I think when people hear street art, there's this concern of, are we going to have a bunch of profanity and sexual stuff on the walls? And that's not really it at all. And that's not going to happen here. We have some safeguards for it, but the artists aren't even that's not going to be an issue because they won't begin there.
Let's talk about what does get up on the wall. It's really the consent of the owner, the creativity of the artist, and do you play a hand in saying yes or no?
Only in the selection process, but we want the artist to have a lot of flexibility. We want them to maintain their artistic freedom, and if someone wants something specific, then they can commission an artist to paint that. But this is inviting artists in where they can come in and really do what they want to do. They have a lot of freedom in this.
Now, let's acknowledge that it probably is a little on the controversial side.
I love it.
Okay? Mm-hmm. There is no agency of government that either approves or disapproves.
Correct.
This is a First Amendment issue, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. How about just simply community acceptance?
I think in a community like Marion, you're going to have some people that are like you do with any art. Some people are going to love it and some people are not going to like it. In a community like Marion, where this is new, this type of urban art is new, I think we're going to find we're going to have a lot of converts to this type of art. You're going to have some people that are going to resist it. But it's the same with any type of art. The difference with this is that it's public. And I think that at the root of this, I am a huge believer in public art. Art it's amazing. It can change lives. And when you look at how expensive it is to go to a museum, just traveling to Chicago or New York or even Indianapolis to go to a museum, that prevents people, especially kids, from getting access to it. So what we're trying to do is make art available that is there for people to see, to participate in. They can watch it paint. This is a type of art that is meant to be seen in person. It never photographs well. You can take a good photo of it and say, technically that's a great photograph, but you don't see the scale. When you're standing in front of a wall that is 12 feet high and 150 feet long, that is impressive. So I love art that really pulls people into the medium.
I'm thinking of the portrait of Kurt Vonnegut that's 5 stories tall down on Mass Ave in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
There's no way you can avoid the grandeur of it.
Yeah, it's totally badass. It elicits emotions that you don't get when you just see a picture on Instagram. But when you're standing in front of that thing and you're looking up at it, it's pretty awe-inspiring. So when you look at the community, and especially a community like Marion, where a lot of people don't have access to the traditional outlets of art, public art is a way to pull them in. And I have the building down on Branson Street where I let anyone can go by and just graffiti it. They can paint whatever they want. We've identified some amazing artists on that building. And
now two of the walls are graffiti boards.
3 are.
Three are. And then on the east wall of that building, you originally intended to have a mural.
Right. Yeah. So we have murals. A mural of Martin Luther King was started, and it wasn't finished. And then, unfortunately, now taggers are starting to paint over that. And that is unfortunate that wasn't completed. Hopefully that will get completed this fall, and then that will go away. There are 2 other murals alongside that right now, which Riley Greger did. We have a 4th mural that's starting in the next few weeks and will be finished by the graffiti jam that we are having in November by a local artist named Brat Jones. It's a fantastic piece that he's doing about art and how it affects people. It's a fantastic piece of art. And then there are going to be 2 other murals, and we've identified some artists that will complete that whole Branson Street side of the building.
Talk about both protection and preservation. Once the artist executes his or her work on the wall, and by the way, is it a mix of men and women? Mm-hmm. Are they all men?
No, we have a mix of men and women.
Good, okay. Once the art is on the wall, it almost seems as though that validates people coming up and adding to or editing or bringing graffiti to it.
That's a part of street art. We don't like it necessarily when it's on some of the more professional murals, but there's nothing you can do to really prevent that.
All right.
So,
and you don't attempt to?
No. And what we have found is that people respect those murals for the most part. And the mural that was or has been painted on, I think it was because it was just not completed, and people understood that, and so they went up there and basically completed it. Well, they didn't complete it, but they painted over it. The other 2 have not been touched. So you're going to have that. That's part of what public art is. And we can say it's unfortunate at times, but art's an expression, and if people...
Let's talk about long-term preservation. The mural gets up there, it's there 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Eventually, we have to go out and paint the garage again. What do we have to do to preserve these that are on the walls?
So there are a couple of things. One is, and this happens a lot in street art, you buff over it, you paint it out, and someone comes and puts a new mural up. That happens occasionally. If you look in areas like New York and other areas where there is a big street art presence already, the artists will come back and they'll freshen it up. They'll not modify it, but they just basically clean it up and make it look new again.
What do you see this doing in the way of energizing other arts in Marion?
I think anytime you get momentum in any subject area, people start to rally behind that and say, hey, if they could do that, I can do this. And that's what we're really hoping to happen. This is primarily a private effort. Riley and I have organized it. And what I want to see, like you see in other areas of the country, individuals privately need to step up and participate in the arts. Yes, they need to fund the existing arts organizations, and that's extremely important. But they also need to get involved and make their buildings available, make art accessible, fund their own art, fund the organizations that are moving arts forward in the community.
Is there a role for the Fusion Arts Alliance in this?
Absolutely. And I've been working with Greg Feebig a lot on this, keeping him involved. Also John Lytle at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And there is a role, and Fusion will be our partner in this project, our arts partner in this project. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I look at towns like around the country like Portland, Maine, where their arts really is what created the excitement in that city. And I think you could look at a lot of different places around the country, and arts can be the first mover. So Portland has the advantage of being close to Boston and close to New York City, but arts led the way there. When arts came into that community, then the culinary arts came into that community as well. So then you started having these fine restaurants bringing people into town. Then commerce started to build there as well. So arts has not just a role in sustaining the community, but it has a role, a real leadership role in kind of leading the way and assisting commerce, the growth of commerce, and even the population growth. People will move towards areas where there's a lot of art. Marion's unique. As I said in the beginning, we have the Philharmonic, Community School of the Arts. There are so many great civic theater, so many great arts programs here that are already existing, and this street jam is one way to add a different dimension to that.
And the street jam itself will be what days?
November 6th through the 8th, 3 days.
November 6, 7, and 8 at 10 locations.
Correct.
Around town. Open to the public. You're inviting people to come out and watch the work being done?
Absolutely. And if you go onto Instagram to Marion Art Jam, we'll be posting a lot of the dates and the locations. We'll have maps up there so that people can come out and actually watch the artist paint. This is not brush painting. This is all spray can work. And when you see someone painting with a spray can and doing a very detailed portrait, as an example, it's impressive to see. And then on the Saturday night, we're going to have an event with live music in the courtyard at 123 East 3rd Street.
On the north side of the square.
Yes. And there's going to be live painting going on while people are there in the courtyard for this performance. And that's going to be a 15-foot by 80-foot mural that's being painted. So people can we encourage people to get out and see the artist paint.
In some ways, it's going to be transformative. Whether you want it to be or not, it is.
That's what we're hoping.
Just the visual change
Yeah.
on the landscape of Marion.
Mm-hmm. I think the arts bring in a lot of things that are dear to me. They bring in, young people that are concerned about social justice issues. They bring in an environmental impact and a lot of contemporary way of thinking in just a general community and the political landscape. And arts do that in a way that other things don't. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a finance guy, so I can go and start a business, but that doesn't necessarily bring in a cultural shift the way the arts do. And what we're hoping is that this is a catalyst with this massive display of public art to get people thinking in a different way in this community and make it a place that's more attractive to young people with young families to come and live and participate.
And nobody is going to put a spray paint can into your hands.
I will have a spray paint can in my hands, and it'll be a disastrous work of art, but I'm going to give it a shot, so what the hell.
Bill Reece, we thank you. On behalf of the Fusion Arts Alliance, we thank you for joining us today. Tune in again next week. We'll take another look at another dimension of art in Marion.